So you guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to show you guys how I take a tube bead, a paper tube bead, and how I string it up to dip it so that the ends don't stick together. I have a little trick, and it's very inexpensive, on what you use in between each bead to keep them from sticking to each other. So let me flip you around and share my trick with you guys. Okay, you guys, my trick is coffee stirrers. You get them very inexpensive at Walmart, but the trick is coffee stirrers. So what I do is I string them up on basically 10-pound fishing line. I don't need anything heavier. And the 10-pound is very thin. It's a very thin, it's going to be hard to see, but it's a very thin line. But the beads are not going to weigh 10 pounds, so we're good. What I usually string my beads to be a 12-inch strand. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but my bead mat here is marked. See if I can pull it forward. My bead mat is marked at 12 inches. That way, if I wanted to sell them at an event on a 12-inch strand, I already know when I go to restring the beads for the event, I already know that all I gotta do is cut away the strand they're gonna be on now, and then put them on a clean strand. So that's typical. Now with the two beads, since I'm putting a piece of this in as a spacer, I might be a bead off. So basically, I've said this before, I use cut up postage boxes as my waist bead. Okay, so basically, I'm going to take my fishing line. I've done this, I've done a video on this, or this has been in a video before. And I stick my fishing line through one of the corrugated channels of the cardboard. Okay, so my one is on. This first bead, I don't have to worry about putting a piece of that in. But I'll string the two bead on. I will cut up some of these. They don't have to be really big. They just have to be, about 1/4 of an inch or less. This just prevents the two beads from sticking to each other. Now I have dip beads without these, and they've come out okay too. But I'd rather not chance it. I'd rather go ahead and cut some of these up and do this. So the two beads on. There are two channels in this. I don't know if y'all can see that, but there are two channels in this coffee stirrer. So just put on a coffee stirrer, put on a two bead. Again, put on a coffee stirrer and put on a two bead. You could use, if you didn't mind it, you could use, because you can't really reuse this, because when I dip in PC petrifier. When PC petrifier gets dries, when it's on plastic, it flakes off. But I guess you could use pony beads in between if you had an abundance of pony beads and you did not mind wasting them. But I don't even want to waste pony beads. I found this to be the cheapest. Way, because you get, I don't remember how many you get in a package of coffee stirrers, but you get so many, and you get, when you cut them up in little pieces like that, you get so many little pieces. I've used cheap straws from the Dollar Tree. I've used them. I just didn't have any down here in the art studio, so I might have used straws on these bigger beads. But that's what you kind of do, right like that. These are the corrugated cardboard paper beads. In the last video I was showing you guys these. I decided to go ahead and try some tube beads, and I actually like the way they came out. The only thing with corrugated paper, corrugated cardboard beads, I'm going to have to dip these a couple more times than what I normally do. I'm going to have to, I'll dip them real quick in PC Petrifier, real quick like. And then I have started using my next dipping process. Has been a combination of PC Petrifier and Varathane. And I'll probably dip them in that about 3 times and let them dry in between. And then dip them in Varathane by themselves. One more should do it. I mean, I think this is awful close to the desired amount of beads I would sell on a strand. Because I don't think... Oops, I meant to put a paper bead on the bottom. I don't think I've got enough. Maybe, but I don't think I got enough of these cut up pieces to make a whole bead. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 10 beads, and they're an impressive looking bead. Now I'll put another piece of cardboard on the end. I go through the corrugated. Okay, I loop it. So this the fishing line is on the top of the corrugated. I'm going to come back up underneath, and I'm going to run it through again. This is how I tie them off. Then I'm going to loop the end around my finger, tie it a couple times. So far this has worked great for me. At least 2 times. Cut off the excess waste. Push this piece of cardboard all the way down to my knot. Sometimes I have to work with it for a minute. So push it all the way down to my knot. And then so that this won't slip, I use a stapler. Because you can buy staples for like, you can get them at the Dollar Tree. I think Walmart even sells staples really cheap now. I staple. Well, I did not hit that piece of plastic, that piece of fishing line. I stapled the fishing line in place. Then I drop all my beads down to the end. I've got too many beads on my bat, don't I? Let's get some of these beads out of the way. I cut off this other end. Okay. Cut off this other end. Then I take the end of my fishing line, go to the bottom of this piece of, see, it's coming out here. I go up underneath here. The end comes out. I tie a knot a couple times. Because I flip dip. I've said this before. I will dip them and then I will flip them and dip them the opposite direction. I have excess I'll cut off. I'll pull this piece of cardboard to the end. And again, I will staple this piece. Once in a great while, at the very beginning of dipping, the cardboard will want to separate, and that's one other reason why I staple it to keep it together. But this strand is ready to be dipped. So it's a paper bead, a piece of coffee stirrer in between, or you can use cheap straws, but I make sure they're plastic and not paper straws. Another bead, a spacer piece of coffee stirrer bead, 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 coffee stirrer bead. I only find that I really do that with the tube beads. If this hole right here, it's kind of be hard to see. If my rolling hole was bigger, I definitely would use a piece of straw. And you can get straws in all different sizes. I mean, you can get the cheap straws at Dollar Tree, and then you can get bigger straws, or like smoothie straws. So if you had a really big hole, you could get a straw that did not go through. With these cone beads, I won't do that. They'll be fine. They'll be on top of each other like that, and they will snap apart when the time comes. The trick to dipping the corrugated paper, corrugated cardboard, is if you're dipping them in liquid, they will bubble up. All these holes, when the liquid goes into all these holes, you're going to have lots of bubbles. And that's the one thing I do not enjoy about dipping the beads, is I do not enjoy making sure the bubbles pop. But it's what you have to do. If you don't do it with the PC petrifier or the Varathane, because I dip in PC petrifier, their Varathane mixture, and then Varathane. That's usually how I dip. But like I said, with these, I will dip them in PC petrifier maybe twice, because I'm going to dip them quick, because these colors run. So I will dip these quick just to set the color. And then I'll probably dip them again to make sure that it got on the inside of these little channels, these little grooves of the corrugated. But then I will, see, I may or may not dip PC petrifier twice, because I will go back, I will go on my next mixture is the PC petrifier and Varathane mixed together. And I know that will get down into the grooves. But I do have to sit there and make sure that I don't have any bubbles when I leave, when I'm dipping, because I don't want to come back and have these two together and have a bubble between them, and then have that dry, because then that's stuck there. But that's how I dip that's how I string up my paper tube beads. Ouch. So I hope that helped you guys. This was just a quick little video telling you how I do it. But I hope that helped you guys with any sticking problems you're having. I know some people leave their beads on a toothpick and paint them with nail polish or triple thick or diamond glaze or something. But I don't. I just use those products. I've been using those products forever. And that's why I put a loop at both ends, because I can dip one direction and then hang them the opposite direction. So, like I said, I hope that helps. I'm sure we'll discuss dipping beads again in the future. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Remember, art is creative, so go out there and create some art. Like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all later.